Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today we're doing ranking every commander.
It's all the battle for Baldur's Gate legends with choose a background.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, joined by Amber, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily commander videos. And I want to thank all of our patrons who make all this stuff possible in the first place.
But especially Jello, our patron of the day. You know, classic Jello. Everybody loves Jello. Isn't that right, Beezy?
It absolutely is. And this channel is sponsored by Maxfield, but you won't be able to predict where the mid-roll ad is because that's just how we roll.
Yes, and happy birthday to every single human who has a birthday today, and every single pet that has a birthday today. And why not just do it? Wild animals who were born today. Nobody remembers their birthday, but happy birthday to you, random squirrel that was born today.
Viewers might notice we're both in certain shirts today. Is there an Into the AM ad?
Oh, there is. Into the AM is the sponsor of this entire video. They are a clothing apparel company that makes awesome graphic tees just like this one. This one is obviously Daisy Gang. I don't know if you can see the word gang down here, it says. But obviously this is the Daisy Gang tee, and it is one of my favorites, actually. I have been wearing it every chance I get because I absolutely love it. What are you wearing today, Beezy?
I'm just rocking an old favorite. It's a DNA tree. I mean, you've seen it before. You love it. It's backed by popular demand. There's plenty of other designs you can use. And the thing is, when you click our link that's in the comments as a pinned comment, in the description, in front of your face right now, you're saving 10% on your order. So I would suggest looking into things like Normal Campground.
Yeah, Normal Campground is really cool and a great design. It's actually one of their more popular ones. We also have Broken TV that is oozing slime that is the color of the bars on the TV.
Yeah, and we have Fiery Astronaut Uppercut. That is, I think, a recent addition, but it's a welcome one.
Yeah, everyone loves Fiery Astronaut Uppercut. He's actually punching the Into the AM logo, which is up top. So
right, but the piece de resistance of what we have today.
Yes, exactly. Is Skeleton trapped in a pill bottle in a puddle of pride. Now, this one, I've been meaning to get this one, but I haven't gotten it yet. It is actually one of my favorite ones of all of the Into the AM shirts. So make sure to use our link, like you said, in the description, in a pinned comment. Go there and buy the t-shirts. They're literally amazing, and you get 10% off just for using.
And if you stay tuned, summer deals are coming.
Summer deals are coming. Watch out for summer deals upcoming. So let's hop into this video. Beezy.
This is Ranking Every Commander. It's one of our favorite series. We have an entire list of every single commander that has ever existed in the entire history of Magic the Gathering. They're all ranked already because we already did that. So go check out those videos if you want. But we're adding the background legends from Baldur's Gate to that list. We're going to go from worst to best, and we're grading based on power, fun, artwork, coolness, and uniqueness. 5 things that all contribute to what makes a commander great. This is not only a power list. That's only 20%.
Yes. So we're going to just be throwing them onto the list, and we'll show you where they rank on our list. So let's hop right into it. We do the worst ones to the best ones. The worst one from the whole set, I don't think anyone didn't see this coming. It's the Faceless one, ranking in at 1,163, above Daxos of Meletis and below Tarnika. This is a 5-mana 3/3. It lets you choose a color if it's your commander. It also has a type background and choose a background, meaning it can both be a background and it can choose a background. This is nothing special. Obviously, this is just a vanilla 3/3 for 3. We don't really need to talk about this much, but it is kind of cool. The art looks really sweet. It's like Faces mask, and it's a deity that's a representation of all shapeshifters, which is really cool.
Right. It doesn't have any power. It doesn't have any fun because there's no power. You can't do anything with it. There's no uniqueness because there's no text on it. And good artwork, decent lore, as it turns out. So that's all there is. Only exists to hold together the limited environment.
Yeah, it's only there for limited. You never want to be playing this as your actual commander.
All right, let's go to the next one. Amber Gristillo, right as Amber leaves too. She's above Zerevec the Spiteful and below Tendib the Harvester at 1,148. 3 in a red for a 3/3 haste. When she attacks, you may discard your hand and draw a card for each player being attacked. Choose a background.
Now going forward, I don't think we have to say they have choose a background, as they all will have choose a background. We'll save a little bit of time reading that text. This one is just not very good. It does not attack well. It costs 4 mana. It's a 3/3. I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. There's just not a lot on this card that I'm really interested in. The art, totally fine. It's, you know, this like BA girl with like a mace, but that's about all we got going on for this card.
Speaking of the art for this set in general, it's all just pretty good. If we have something special to say about it that we especially liked, we'll mention it. But in general, if a card's art is just like above average, probably not going to say too much about it because we're not going to be retreading the same ground.
Yes, and I want to mention for lore that I am sure every one of these characters has lore, but when doing Googling and trying to look it up, Amber Gristle Omal did not come up. I didn't see anything about this character, so we gave it a 1. She's kind of a BA. Other than that, there's nothing here. She just kind of has a mace. That's it.
We're checking the Forgotten Realms wiki for this one, so if you have a link and lore for any of these characters that we're not going to grade very highly, there's only a few, let us know, and then we'll reassess it. But for now, she's getting a 1. And I do want to say, not even related to this card, but it is the only creature named Amber. So you could play Amber as your commander, a.k.a. get it altered to look like my cat, and then have Raised by Giants as the background.
Yes.
How is that not perfect?
We are giants to cats.
Well, I'm a giant.
We're both giants to cats.
It's a tall joke.
You're even more giant. Up next is Gut, True Soul Zealot at 1099, above Nostro, below Rhoda. 2 and a red for a 2/2. Whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature or an artifact. If you do, create a 4/1 black skeleton creature token with menace that's tapped and attacking. Turning creatures and artifacts into 4/1 attackers isn't that powerful. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this card's bad, but it's certainly not good, that's for sure.
It just falls into the mediocre, why am I playing this category? If you're turning a creature into a 4/1, you're really not giving it that many stat boosts. It was already at least a 1/1, right? There's just not a lot of fun to be had with this. This feels like a specifically designed for limited card.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to do a lot with this. It's obviously what really brings me down on a card like this is there's about literally 20, 30, 40 better options for this type of archetype, and because of that, I'm just never going near a card like this at all. There is a sub category of every one of these characters. Now, Baldur's Gate had its own story, but one of the big Baldur's Gate storyline is the Nautilus ship that we saw in the set captures a bunch of people, or some people stole away, or they get on the ship somehow, and they're given little tadpole guys.
Through their eyeballs. So
they're tadpoles that would do, what is it called?
Turn them into Mind Flayer. It's Ceremorphosis, I think.
Ceremorphosis. So they would turn into Mind Flayers, but that's not what happens to all these characters. A lot of them get powers. Gut's one of them that gets powers.
Tadpole powers, we're calling them.
Tadpole powers. It's a ton of thing, and she is a priestess of the Absolute. I did not know it was a she until reading about this
and
character.
It's a cult of the Absolute.
Not
just the Absolute.
The Absolute. The cult of the Absolute. Not an exciting card. Let's just move right on.
Irina, Gloomstalker at 1097, above Rhoda, Geist Avenger, and below Mila, Crafty Companion. It's a 3-mana 3/3 with Death Touch. When it attacks, you can bring a land from your graveyard to the battlefield. So she kind of actually works pretty favorably with fetch lands and even Evolving Wilds and all those basic types. So there's stuff to do because you're going to be able to sneak a 3/3 Death Touch through when it always comes down on turn 3 a couple times. That said, it's still, we're still sitting at a 3 out of 10 for power. We haven't even scratched the surface.
It's really tough to figure out where you want this. For the background, I kind of like picking the one that gives Double Strike because she does have Death Touch, and she's very nice when you actually pair her with Death Touch because then even if they block with 3 creatures, First Strike kills all 3 of them.
Can't stop that.
You can't stop that. So you can keep getting lands back over and over again. How powerful is that, though? It's just not. Then again, if you have a lot of fetch lands, you can still keep doing this over and over again. Card isn't super exciting. Again, I'm sure there is some lore somewhere on the internet about Uranus, Gloomstalker. I could not find any, so it's a 1. She's kind of cool looking, but that's all we got.
Not very exciting card.
No, really not at all. Up next, we got Levon, Cultist of Tiamat. Above, Misform Ultimus, and below, Baldur the Stout. 2 and a red for a 1/3 Dragon Shaman. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is that spell's mana value. It's interesting, I'll say that, but I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with this card. Obviously, it does have some good cards that care about power, where it's like, hey, this creature cares about having its power pumped, so whenever I cast my non-creature spells, I can get this thing pumped up to start doing stuff. It's one of those where it's like, I wouldn't say this is a bad commander, but you're never going to play it. It's just mediocre. So it just ends up at this 2 power where it's like, it does things, but those things aren't that great.
Doesn't do efficient things. I compare this to Vadrik and my head starts to hurt. There's really not any lore for Levon. I know Tiamat is, and Cultist of that is pretty cool, and they're a dragon. So that kind of adds up to a 3, basically.
Yeah, and I really did like the art on this one specifically.
He's making a little dragon out of fire.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Next is one of the least powerful commanders in the entire set. It's Safana Kalanport Cutthroat above Ramirez de Pietro, below Myojin of Infinite Rage at 964. 2 and a black for a 3/2 menace. At the beginning of your end step, if you have the initiative, make a treasure token. Create 3 of them instead if you've completed a dungeon. This does not give you the initiative, so you have to find a way to get the initiative, and we basically looked it up, and if you want the initiative, which is specifically venturing into the Undercity, which this does not trigger without, you basically only have 11 options if you're going to be 2-color deck, which you have to be if this is one of your commanders. So I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's sadly it adds up to just not very powerful. If this card gave you the initiative, it's a much better card. We're talking about something you can actually build around. Taking the initiative and getting the initiative is actually a strategy that is very viable in Commander. But unfortunately, getting the initiative, not something you can just introduce to the game very easily. You're gonna need a lot of tutors, and you're gonna need a lot of initiative cards. For that reason, it's just a 1. You can't really do anything with this. Again, it would be fun if she gave you the initiative. I just think it is so lacking because of specifically that, and it just makes me a little sad because I do like this design. It's missing giving you the initiative.
And even if you complete a different dungeon, like Tomb of Fandelver or whatever that one's called, you don't get a trigger because you don't have the initiative, so it doesn't trigger.
Yeah.
Which is just really unfortunate. And I will say this is designed for draft where getting the initiative's pretty easy because we can play multiples.
Yeah, it's part of the format. The initiative is introduced in almost every single game of draft. Story was cool. She's like a flirtatious pirate. Her kiss enraptures minds.
It's like the tale as old as time of female powers. It's like, oh, her kiss is really good. That's something.
I mean, I do enjoy the female empowerment characters where it's like they use their sex appeal to get what they want. I always enjoy that kind of character.
I feel like Sona Blade is the first person I think of with that because she turns you, she melts your skin with her kiss.
It's so funny because you say Sona Blade and in the games she kind of gives that feel where her kiss is
literally kills you.
Literally kills you. But so when I think of Sona Blade, and I know we're going off on a little bit of a tangent, anytime she jumps into the movies, she's just kind of a badass, right?
Also, yes.
Yeah.
She's both.
All right, moving on, we have Val, Candlekeep Researcher, above Sylvia Brightspear, below Bruna Light of Alabaster. 3 and a blue for a human wizard 2/3. Vigilance, tap, add a number of wingdings equal to that of her toughness. This mana can't be spent to cast spells from your hand. This card is overcosted, slow, and the reason it gets all of its power here is infinite combos. It can't be used to cast spells from your hand, but it can be used on abilities. It can be used on flashback, adventure spells.
Literally anything else.
Literally anything else except for things from your hand. And because of that, what is the stupid staff called?
The thing that gets me with this one is Umbral Mantle. All you gotta do is equip and activate it, and it buffs her toughness, so she adds more mana, so she just goes infinite by itself. And then if you have Walking Ballista in play, or you want to cast it for 1 with 2 other mana, then you can pay infinite mana to put counters on it and kill people that way. This is the most innocent commander because it's just oh, it's a wacky limited design for adventures, and it's every lame blue card and tired old infinite combo that you've ever seen is marching up going, hey, I go in this deck. It's oh, intruder alarm, freed from the wheel, and I'm just falling asleep.
Yeah,
thinking about it.
Yeah, and for that, this card just kind of falls off on fun, where it's it is a cool design overall, and I really do think this card looks good. But then
I would never want to play against a good version of this deck.
No, it would just be a bunch of infinite combos. It'd be a bunch of tutors to go get Umbral Mantle so you can make infinite mana and then kill them with Walking Ballista. It's yikes, I've seen that deck before.
It's not what Val would have wanted.
It's not. I don't think that it's not what this card was designed to be, but it is what you're going to see if anybody ever focuses this deck, right?
Be very skeptical of this card if you see it. There's no lore, so we can move on.
Yeah, Val just falls in that category if I couldn't find it.
Next commander is Halcyon, Emerald Archdruid. Coming in at 936 on our master list, above Kaho and below Maya. 3 and a green for a 2/4. Pay 1 until end of turn. Target token you control becomes a 4/4 bear. Kind of clunky to get out because he's a vanilla 2/4. Then you need tokens in play, which he doesn't provide, not that he has to. But then you got to pay 1 and just sort of Giant Growth the token. It's probably a 1/1.
Yeah, this really isn't that great of a payoff. Why wouldn't we just want to play overruns with a better commander, right? We can play a commander that either makes tokens or pays off tokens in a much stronger manner.
It's pretty funny. This is right below Maya, who makes tokens and buffs tokens, all in a better package than Halcyon.
Yeah, much, much better package. I mean, it's just a token deck. It's cool to, make all of your things bears. It's cute to, hey, I'll make this treasure bear. Though, his powers are, Druidic. like he is a druid.
Can turn into a bear, I think.
Yeah, like druid powers. I would assume he can't animate treasure, but he can actually animate treasure.
Food also? Turn a food into a bear?
Yeah, not actual powers that I would assume a druid has, but I know, like, helping like a little rabbit turn into a bear, I imagine that's druidic. I don't know. Weird card. This one I do like in the other art. He's got a little bear.
He's just holding a bear. That's so much better. That's the art we chose to grade as a 7, because the original one's kind of like dude in forest. Oh boy, I never seen that before. And as far as uniqueness goes, there's nothing here. So it gets a 3.
Yeah, I mean, making things bears is good. I do like that he is described as a bear of an elf, so I'm going to...
Canonically a bear?
In headcanon, he is definitely a gay icon, obviously. He can also transform into a bear. So he's literally a bear, and he's also a bear of an elf.
Well, when he transforms, he just grows more hair and gets, like, burlier.
Yes, and he snaps like this a lot. Up next, we have Zelix, Sanity Flayer, above Endrixar and below Mariki Rebarrett at 887. 2 in a blue for a 2/3. Whenever a player mills one or more creature cards, you create a 1/1 black horror creature token. Pay 1 and tap, target player mills 3 cards. It's just another mill commander. He makes horrors, and you can kind of go with a horror theme, but there's better commanders for that now. And I'm just not sure what this really wants from you. Obviously, mill your opponents. Okay, and we get 1/1s, and then what are we supposed to do with those 1/1s? I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's no way to weaponize them or anything. You kind of just get 1/1s, and if you're a mill deck, you don't need 1/1s other than to chump block. I think you pretty much just have to self-mill. I don't think this can ever target an opponent. If I'm milling an opponent, it's got to be like big numbers repeated, not just once a turn for 3, because I know people hate mill, and that's probably why part of the reason this doesn't have a lot of fun, but it's good to be milled. If I could start the game and milling 10 cards, I would be in an advantage no matter what deck I was playing.
Yes, we try and take out biases for this. We don't have any problem with mill, but we acknowledge that mill is a very hated archetype. And seeing as people do hate mill, we gave this a 5 for fun. It's probably fun to play. No one wants to be not nobody. Most people do not enjoy being milled whatsoever.
I think we should run a poll to see just how many people don't like it.
Yeah, it is definitely a hated thing. Though I would say our poll would be skewed. We would probably, I think players that watch content and consume content and understand the game a little better than the average player tend not to
mill's not the devil.
Don't have a problem with mill, but the players that you're going to see at your LGSs and the more casuals are definitely not fans of mill overall.
Yeah, as far as lore, Zelix founded an asylum to keep subjects until they were infected by some demon lord who was just chilling out there, and because it made their brains yummy.
Their brains are the most delicious.
They lost their minds
when they get like the madness of the demon lord. So he just like captured them. He's like, go crazy.
Mind flayers are
literally.
Gross. Next, we got Skanos Dragonheart at 830 above Quain and below Orianya. It's 4 and a green for a 4/4. When it attacks, gets +X/+X. Rex is the greatest power among living or dead dragons that you have.
Yeah, this guy doesn't have any lore, but I do want to say I really like that he's just got a couple of pet dragons. It's really, like, it gives you a little story in the art.
Tells a little story. So I think this one, we got a lot from the art and the overall vibe of Skanos, so we gave him some points there. There's no power here. You're a dragon tribal deck, kind of, but this is your payoff? No thanks.
Yeah, exactly. One of the big issues with this is I'm not sure what background you really want to pair it with where you're going to get the most advantage. It's tough. He kind of pairs well with the red background where you get, like, whenever 5 damage is dealt.
You get a 4/4?
You get a 4/4. He's always dealing 5 damage. You're always going to get a dragon out of it, but I don't know. This one's just not super interesting. It seems fun. I mean, it's going to be a huge attacker. The goal is going to be give this thing trample, like get through. But it's only a vanilla. It's literally
pretty close to vanilla.
It's a vanilla creature that gets pumped up to be more vanilla. Up next, we have Vaconadro Apostite. Above Angus Mackenzie, below Delicus at 804. 2 and a black for a 2/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, return a creature at random from your graveyard to your hand. It's like this little card advantage engine. It's not terrible at all. I'm just not super interested by it. And you've been noticing that these grades are low, and they don't get much higher because there's not a lot of these that are super strong, honestly.
Which is fair. I mean, Commander Legends isn't designed to push the envelope for power in Commander, and oftentimes it doesn't, and that's perfectly okay, especially with these who are designed to have another Commander in the zone. And we didn't give any sort of bonus for background. They're all pretty weak, and in general, we just decided not to go for it.
Yeah,
it's not as strong as Partner.
Yeah, it's not. Partner would give you a whole extra point, whereas we don't really do that for this. overall, just looking at this card, it's pretty meh. But it does return a creature every turn. It is a good card advantage engine. You obviously want to have your graveyard filled up so you can just get a card back every single turn. This is one of those, it's very innocuous. Nobody's going to like kill this thing ever, but it will get you value over the game over and over again. And also, you just have a background hanging out doing something.
I like this one because it seems like, what are your opponents supposed to say to get somebody to kill this? It's like, they're going to get back something. It's like you don't even have control over it.
Yeah.
It's just like value.
And they're always going to have something, like most of the time they have something bad in their graveyard. So it's like, well, yeah, but what if I just end up getting
Stitcher's Supplier?
You're really going to be upset that I got Stitcher's Supplier back? Come on.
And then you get back Grave Titan and you kill everyone.
Nobody dies. Everybody is very happy. I do like this art. Very purple.
Very purpley. She went from almost sacrifice to Lolth to being some kind of like faithful priestess, but on like the surface. I think the Drow are like below subterranean type undercity people.
Yeah, her brother who saved her was turned into a Drider.
Which I think is good. But I don't know.
No, it's bad. You don't want to be turned into a Drider.
Why not?
What?
They all worship Lolth.
Well, it's like he saved her from Lolth, who was going to kill her. And as a punishment, he was turned into a Drider.
Maybe that's true. Now we got Renari, Merchant of Marvels at 797 above Timothar and below Mishra. 3 and a blue for a 2/4. Your dragons and your artifact spells can be cast as though they had flash. We want Dragon Tribal. We want a hefty slew of artifacts. And we probably want to be green with our background, so maybe not a ton of artifacts.
What makes me a little sad, always makes me a little sad about these partners that are like dragons is blue-green, was a dragon color for the set.
But overall,
I always want red. I want red for my dragon deck. That's a huge power increase. And we can pair this with red background. Then we're blue-red dragons, also an interesting pairing. So not really sure where you want to go with this. Having flash on all your cards is definitely a decent boost, but he's a little pricey. 4 mana to give basically everything you're going to play in your deck. Most stuff flash is okay, but it's not like incredible.
It goes ham with Acolyte of Bahamut. That's what I feel like these are always going to be paired together, outside or inside of draft. That's just where I think I would have to put it.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It seems like a really fun deck, flashing out your dragons. I mean, you're just going to play whatever big blue-green dragon.
There's stuff to do. This commander gives you stuff to do.
It definitely does, for sure. No lore again for this, so I don't know what to say about this. And it's kind of unique in that it gives everything flash, but it's nothing we haven't seen before, right?
How about it's a mono blue dragons matter commander? You don't see those.
You don't see those every day. Up next is Shadowheart Dark Justicar above Nils, below Florian at 789. 3 and a black for a 3/4. Pay 1 and a black, tap, sacrifice another creature, draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. This card is undoubtedly slow, but once it gets going, it's a huge card advantage engine, and obviously in the decks you're going to be building around this card. You're going to have lots of creatures with tons of power to sacrifice and get a ton of card advantage. I think the build around aspect here is going to be really fun. I want to play undercosted, like
Ghoul Tree.
Like Ghoul Tree, or there's what's the silly one where it's like Lupine Prototype, where it's like a 5/5 for 2 mana.
Yeah, you just like crappy bulk rares that are just meant to be sacrificed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is a bad card, but hey, it has big power though.
It does have big power. Yeah, we want stuff that scales with the game, or it's just undercosted because the card sucks. That seems cool. This card is really strong. It's one of the better commanders in the set, I would say, for choose a background, I would say.
Yeah. In the story, it literally said has some sort of association with the village of Moonhaven.
How do you not know? How do you not know what sort of association we have with the village of Moonhaven?
I don't know. Tadpole powers. The gross tadpole in the eye. Think about that. Think about a tadpole crawling in your eye.
And then eating your brain.
And eating... No, not
replacing your brain.
Well, it gets rid of your memories and everything that makes you, and then uses your brain.
It's the episode of SpongeBob where Plankton sticks a remote control and then starts moving SpongeBob.
Yes. And calls Squidward a mediocre
clarinet player.
Mediocre?
Wilson, Refined Grizzly, 717 above Savine and below... Oh, spoiler! 1 and a green for a 2/2. That's basically it, but it also says, the spell can't be countered. Vigilance, Reach, Trample, Ward 2. They stuck as many mediocre keywords on this 2/2 as they possibly could, and this card's hilarious, but it's terrible, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. I think it's like an achievement unlocked. You want to go into this deck with the idea of, I'm going to make my stupid 2/2 bear as big, powerful and strong as I possibly can. And I think it's a really fun idea and lore hilarious. Literally a sophisticated bear, cannot speak common tongue. Like, does not speak common tongue. But a lot of people seem to be able to understand his little oomph in his grunt. He was quoted as saying, growl, roar.
Yes, and his father was also believed to have been a bear. That's a quote from the website. I would have assumed that.
He's named after his father, who was also believed to have been a bear.
I'm going to go ahead and just put it in as Wilson's father was a bear.
And he's very calm and sophisticated, but he goes into a rage in combat and basically can't be like affected by like spells and stuff.
Like ill magic.
Yeah, like something like I'd assume like something that would slow him down or make him less strong.
War 2, baby.
He's too raged. He's too mad. He's a bear. Up next, we have Ellora, Merry Thief at 716. Area code for Buffalo, baby. Above, Wilson, Refined Grizzly, and below, Norika, Yamazaki. 2 and a blue for a 3/2. Whenever you attack, you can have up to one target creature not be able to be blocked this turn at the beginning of your end step. Return it to your hand. This one's really interesting, and I think it does a little bit, but the weakness of bouncing something to your hand, we're going to try and make it an upside, obviously, but it is still definitely and distinctively a downside to continually bounce something back to our hand.
Since we're playing, we have to play a background, and we have to play this as a commander, because that's how we're evaluating all of these. Far Traveler, I think, is the go-to, which just removes all of that. It just says, end step, flicker a creature. Okay, I'll flicker the one that I was supposed to return with Ellora's, I think, delayed trigger she creates.
Yeah, she does create a delayed trigger that goes on at
So
the
just
end
stack Far Traveler to resolve first.
Yeah, this will be a really fun commander. Just sneaking through attacks. I think it's a good initiative commander. I think it's a good monarch commander. Any type of things where you want to sneak through combat damage, you can play all these dumb little dorks, and you'll always be able to sneak 1 or 2 through because of our commander.
Just play value creatures. I mean, just throw a Cloud Blazer down, sneak that through, and then get another Cloud Blazer with your Far Traveler.
Ugh, it's too many Fire Travelers.
It's a lot of Cloud Blazing. This character is super weird. She's a curious, carefree thief, not interested in wealth, which is all fine and dandy, but has like a high-pitched childish voice, which obviously people can't control, but chooses actively to talk in baby talk, like we do, you do, baby talk. Like I don't like it.
Why not?
It's weird. We're not babies. Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, but she just likes talking like that. You're so judgmental, Beezy.
I don't like it. So let's just move on to Burakos, party leader. He's above Sasaya and below Ave at 659. 3 to black for a 2/4. It's also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard, so it counts for whatever you need for your party. Whenever Burakos attacks, defending player loses X life, and you create X treasure tokens, or X is the number of creatures in your party. So this represents any one party member that you don't have already. It makes a lot of mana, but it's got a jam, right?
Yeah, it has a jam, and it is a 2/4. It's not the best attacker, but we're going to put ways to obviously sneak this through. And the fact that it drains and on top of that gives you treasures does make this a little more powerful. It's going to pay back its mana after 1 or 2 attacks very easily. You're going to be super happy with this card if you get it going. I think the weakness of it is it takes a little bit to get going. It's a lot of setup, but once you get there, it will be powerful. And I think Party just a very fun design. I like the idea of like caring about multiple creature types, and not just in a way that like, hey, I pump those creature types, but hey, when I have these 4 specific creature types, my teams get some sort of advantage.
Yeah, it's really cool because you get to make the advantage 4 times as good because it's harder to do. I don't know if Burakos is a female. I think I said he, but I think it's a she. We don't have any lore. We just know shrouded hooded figure who like makes parties.
Yeah, I like to just think that she just is the life of the party. Like
she throws parties.
Yeah, exactly. She's out partying and just going hard.
We don't have party commanders, by the way, so this is a pretty unique design.
Yeah, most of them just like staying home and reading a book on Saturday, but it's nice to have a party commander. Up next, we have Rashad Yin Bashir. Above, Myojin of Grim Betrayal, and below, Max, the Daredevil, at 651. 2 and a white for an 0/3. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Whenever it attacks, if you have the initiative, double the toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. So we fall back to the same issue as before. Initiative is not a thing with many good cards to play in Commander, meaning it's not something you're going to be able to actually introduce. If this card introduces itself, it's much more powerful. It does not introduce the initiative itself, so we have to get it into the game some other way. And if it's not that, it's just an 0/3 that's making our creatures deal damage equal to toughness, and that's not a good Magic card.
What am I doing with this card that doesn't make me just want Doran the Siege Tower. This is a 3-mana 3/3 basically. Doran's a 3-mana 5/5. This gives me access to 2 colors. Doran gives me access to 3 colors. And they have the exact same text box unless you're going to play bad cards in your deck to try to get the initiative. Well, this is like the worst toughness commander we have. Although it is unique because we don't have a lot. I think we only have 4 toughness matters commanders.
Yeah, isn't an exciting card. I think it's fun. I think the Butts Mattered deck is a fun and thing to do overall. And if you could actually get this going, they're big attackers. I mean, you're doubling butt, and that means they're not easy to block either. Because when you double an 8/8's butt, or an 0/4's butt, it becomes a 0/8, which is essentially an 8/8 in this deck, which is pretty powerful. Like, that's actually going to be hitting super hard.
But even if we assume your initiative deck and you're taking the initiative, it's really awkward. I don't know why it's worded this way, but you attack to get the initiative back when someone takes it from you. This triggers on attacks, so you can't take back the initiative. You have to have it. You have to reset it with another card that takes the initiative before you can get the bonus.
That's a very good point. Yeah, this is just not a great design as a card overall. And also, is YN a name? Is Yin? I don't know how you would even pronounce it.
I'm sure it's part of the lore. Obsessive, smart, talented monk.
Yes, whose brother was very jealous of him, and, that happened.
You've seen that story before.
I mean, that is a story as old as time with the
sibling rivalry.
They get along really well. One's more talented. This one becomes evil. That happens way too often. Seriously, is that like a trope at this point?
It's gonna happen with us.
We're not siblings. Up next, my favorite commander from the whole set, Maxfield.com.
Oh, you thought? Well, it's coming in between. So it's right above every other deck building site, and it's right below this video where you can click in the link in the description.
That was a good one. Maxfield.com is a deck building website that is like no other. It is the easiest to use one, and literally we keep all of our decks there. So you can go there and find us and many other content creators you can see on screen right now. All those content creators have their decks there. Click on one of your favorite content creators, like, I don't know, let's just say
us,
the Nitpicking Nerds, and check out all of their decks. Mine are literally all up to date with what I'm playing currently.
You're going to have a fun scrolling through because we have like 100 and something at this point.
We have so many decks, and we're constantly adding decks. I'm currently adding Falthorn onto there. I have Lelia, and I'm turning in the Falthorn because I think it's cooler.
Yeah, so check us out and use it to build your next deck, or we're not friends.
Yeah, take that. Maxfield.com is great. All right.
Actual commander.
Yeah, who is it?
It's Bailoff Baritol Entertainer. Sitting above Silas Wren, sitting below Tana at 617th. 4 in a red for a 2/5. Creatures your opponents control with power less than his power are goaded. Whenever a goaded attacking or blocking creature dies, you get a treasure. So by itself, just sitting in play, this does not really do anything. It goads 1 power creatures. But the idea is, obviously, we're going to pump this thing.
Yeah, it's really, really weak by itself, and that's what's a little tough about this card is it does not do basically anything.
For 5 mana.
And that is really sad. But once we get it going, it will be very powerful. Like, if you get this thing up to 5-6 power, okay, we're goading a lot of creatures. That is a ton, and this is going to demand an answer. Your opponents are just going to destroy each other with attacks. I think this is really fun. I think you lose 2 points on the goad, kind of like can be an annoying mechanic because it makes you attack when you don't want to attack. But other than that, I think it's going to be super fun for you. And you have to jump through a hoop. I like the hoop. It adds to the fun. We have to get our creature pumped up and powerful to start goading.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Bailoff, and I'm thinking Raised by Giants. That means you don't have to spend 1 card in your entire deck pumping this thing ever. You just play every card that gives hexproof, indestructible, stop attacks, play death touch blockers, and then sit there. All you gotta do is sit there, and everyone else will destroy each other. They have to.
They literally will. Yeah, Raised by Giants. They curve into each other. I mean, you're gonna have to spend turn 5 and 6, but
I think you just put a ton of ramp so that you're playing like on turn 7. You go boom, boom, boom.
Well, I think
now you can't stop.
I guess if you play ramp more realistic, you're just gonna go turn 4 this, turn 5 Giants, right? And
maybe I want to hold protection up for Bailoff because that's gonna be where. If there's a lot of pressure then to destroy him.
Yeah, we can play Tameo Safekeeping.
I will. Like in this deck, you probably will.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely fair.
It would be annoying. I wouldn't like that. That doesn't sound super fun. It sounds cool to play with.
So he's the master of the Black Pit, uses excessive alliterations, which is hilarious.
I mean, that's amazing.
It is really funny. That's actually where most of his lore points come in. He's killed by the Pit Champion. I assume that the Pit Champion is just supposed to be someone who you play as a character.
Yeah, like a PC playable character.
Like a playable character, but I could be wrong. What do I know? I don't know the most about D&D, so people can really, if you want to go in the comments and yell at us for not being up on our D&D lore, feel free to do that. Yeah, we will absolutely love it. And this is like one of the coolest goad commanders. It cares about its own power while goading.
As a static?
Yeah, and also it cares about goaded creatures dying, which is attacking or blocking. It's super strange.
Ganax Astral Hunter is our next commander. He's coming in at 606. We're getting up there. Above Zerzoth, below Grothama. 4 and a red for a 3/4 flyer. When it or another dragon enters, you get a treasure token. That's actually pretty sweet. Basically costs 4 mana because it just refunds you 1 right away. We're Dragon Tribal. We're just getting a ton of mana. This kind of like is like a weird
discount.
It's like a weird Dragon effect. Your dragons always cost 1 less kinda after you play them.
Yeah, something really interesting about this card and what I think gives it a lot more power than the other dragon commanders we've been talking about. One, obviously mana advantage, yeah, huge. But it's in red. Red is the main dragon color in all of Magic, like throughout the history of Magic.
Not close.
So we get the very best dragons, and because of that, this just gets a lot better. And obviously we know treasures are a strong mechanic. If you can keep getting them over and over and over again, they're going to ramp us into good stuff. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be Dragon Tribal. Always fun. I mean, who doesn't love a good Dragon Tribal deck?
I'll never get tired of it.
I mean, there's certainly not 10,000 commanders now.
And they will never stop doing it.
No, they will not. I love this art. It looks really good.
This is one of the exceptional arts that like really stood out, especially on the D&D side.
Yes, the D&D art. I like the D&D art specifically.
We're usually not even too big on those.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those. And I know they're very nostalgic for people because they're like monster manual designs or whatever.
Yeah, it's call back to the actual D&D stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we don't play.
So we don't have any nostalgia for it.
No
lore, but it is a cool flying big old dragon. And that Hunt Astral. Take that, Astral. Up next, we have Will, Blade of Frontiers, above Sidisi, Undead Vizier, and below Vega, the Watcher, at 535. 1 in the red for a 1/1. Whenever you roll a dice, you roll with advantage, which means that you roll 2 dice and you get the higher one. And then whenever you roll 1 or more dice, which is sad, he gets 1 counter.
Wowie.
Oh, no.
Will.
He was so cool. I mean, I would take a dice rolling commander where we actually do something. It's like, but why 1 or more? Like, hey, I rolled 2 dice. 2 counters. No, you can't even get that.
This card has absolutely no power at all. Well, it has 1 power. This thing sucks, but it's super fun. It's the classic
the dice rolling commander.
Yeah.
I mean we're gonna keep getting more dice rolling cards as years go on. I'm sure we're gonna revisit D&D.
But this will be a 99 card.
Yeah, the reason that the D&D will continue to just be something that we visit is because it is a product owned by Wizards. So they'll probably go
They
back
don't need
to
permission.
And also, yeah, people really just they sell well. Even though the power of these sets has not been high, the crossover has made people really, really love it.
Yeah, and I refuse to call him Will. I have to say Wheel, so it sounds magical.
His name is Will.
Wheel.
It's Will with a Y.
It's Will.
He's a monster hunter. He's brash. He's impulsive. Abducted by goblins. Disfigured. Formed a pact with a succubus in exchange for his soul. Regrets that pact. I mean, as almost all people who make deals with demons do, regrets it.
Them's the breaks. Also infected with a tadpole on that ship. So
classic.
Wheel's just been like doing everything possible. I don't even know it was possible to do this much in your life. So he's got a bunch of lore points.
Yeah, he actually has like a really like big long story, and it was super interesting to us at least. And he looks very BA. I think this art just looks really good.
One of his eyes was like taken out, right?
Yes, one of his eyes was removed, and so it's just like there's one regular eye and like one like
fake eye
made of something else. I don't know what it's made out of though. The uniqueness is only on dice rolling, but this is a vanilla creature, so I don't know how.
Where is he supposed to get points?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's keep moving on to Sivris, Nightmare Speaker, above Minsk and below Geralf at 460. 3 to black, 3/3. Tap, sack another creature or an artifact for each opponent. You mill a card, then return that card from your graveyard to your hand unless that player pays 3 life. 4 mana thing, then every turn after that, you sack something. That's great. It's going to be upside for you. And then you probably just deal like 3 damage to each opponent, or you're going to be drawing cards, and I don't really care what it is. If I can just sack a creature or an artifact to draw a card, cool.
There's a political aspect to this card that I think makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Where when there's a removal spell put into your graveyard, which I would fill my deck with, I would do a lot of 1/4 removal on this deck, and I'd be like, hey, give me back my Chupacabra and I'll kill X card. And it's just like, I feel like you can make a lot of deals like that.
It's the old Tassiger dilemma, where it's like, you're not supposed to do that because that's how they win.
Yeah, but it's not powerful. I think this card's extremely weak. I mean, you have to give up a whole actual creature, which we have to jump through hoops to get them, which is fine, and we're going to give up things that aren't that good, like tokens, or maybe like an Ophiomancer token.
Treasure.
We're going to do stuff like that, but ultimately, we're giving up something, and we're guaranteed nothing, so that is a extreme weakness of a card like this.
You have a lot of choices.
Art is extremely good. Just want to mention that. I really, really like the way this one looks. Just like this snake doing some magical stuff.
Yeah, there's no lore, though, which kind of stinks, but we can use some of the atmospheric things to get coolness points. And as far as uniqueness goes,
Yeah.
we don't see this anywhere. This is really unique, and it's just a cool design. I could see this being one of the most played choose a background commanders.
Yeah, I'm not sure what background you want to pair it with, but tell us what you think the best pairings are. Because honestly, when I looked, I'm like, I'm not sure which way I want to go. What color do I want? Probably want green, right? So we can go with a graveyard
Green
theme.
or red?
Yeah, I would assume so. Up next, we have Lulu, Loyal Holy Fant at 448 above Sliver Overlord and below Lonus, Cryptozoologist. 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield from your control this turn, you can untap any number of tapped creatures and put +1/+1 counters on it. This isn't very powerful. It will start pumping your team up, but it just doesn't do a lot as a power commander. Like, you have to jump through all these hoops, and what do you get as your reward? Your creature's got pseudo vigilance. Obviously, we're going to put ways to tap our creatures without attacking.
Just a few vehicles.
Yeah, we're going to put vehicles. We're going to do stuff like that. But then the reward is medium, like super medium.
So medium.
Like putting +1/+1 counters. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. But again, it's just 2 power of this set where it's like, there's so many good commanders that exist.
Designed for draft. That's especially with these uncommons. Some of them push through, some of them don't. We got just amazing. I love Lulu as a character. Just so goofy, so like jovial, just happy to be here. You know, Zariel's mount. There's Zariel's the Red Planeswalker, and also character in D&D, and likes to use the power of friendship, which is just hilarious.
Zariel looks extremely evil, but from all the lore I was getting, Zariel's not evil. Yes, they're super happy-go-lucky. It's amazing. They literally believe in the power of friendship over anything else. They teamed up with somebody to make something called, like, what was it, the Bleeding Citadel, which was...
It was like...
Not a friend.
It used positive energy.
Yes, it literally used positive energy to keep away darkness, which is ridiculous.
Lulu's got them good vibes.
I mean, it's literally just like so Kingdom Hearts-esque, where it's like the power of friendship will defeat all.
Oh no.
That's always what I think of when I think of the power of friendship, right? That's like the whole Kingdom Hearts storyline.
Let's go on to Zerevec, Deathbringer. He's up at 425, above Kamiz, below Jedzi. 3 to black for a 3/4. At the beginning of each player's end step, if no permanents left the battlefield this turn, that player loses X life, where X is Zerevoc's power. We want to pump this thing. We want to maybe have a way to sacrifice things so that permanents can always leave if we want to. We can maybe offer deals and say, hey, you're going to lose 10 life because nothing left, but I could sacrifice something if you do me a favor.
Yeah, super interesting card. I really do like this design. I think it's incredibly fun. Like, seriously, this is a card I look at and I think, what can I do with this? Obviously, I want to get its power bigger. And it makes interesting things happen on the battlefield, too, because it's not a permanent on your side, meaning
just anything.
You can use a removal spell to make this thing not trigger, which is super interesting. It makes players perhaps not want to chump block your creature because you're going to lose 10 life because Zerevec is huge. It's just an interesting card overall. It's not very powerful, obviously. Like, this trigger is so easy to avoid. There's removal everywhere in Commander. You can sacrifice one of your creatures. It's done. You can fetch land, flicker one of your creatures. This is not a card that is powerful.
Just awesome.
It has a lot to do. Zerevec is scary looking.
He is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the main antagonists of like some of this Baldur's Gate storyline. From one of the sons of Baal went around and had a lot of intercourse, I guess, and has a bunch of Baal spawn. He's one of them. Wanted to claim godhood because Baal gets killed, which I guess we'll mention in our other episode where we talk about non-background legends, where Baal is. He's the brother of Abdul, someone we haven't gotten to yet, and they did a bunch of fighting.
Yeah,
and eventually died.
We're going to there's more of these too. I don't remember who else. One of the female characters. I believe the one that like is magically picking the lock. I can't think of her name, but she is also one of the ball spawns and is sister to Abdel.
Yeah, so they're all running around doing stuff except Zerevec, super badass, also dies.
Yes. Oh, he looks so cool. He's
got yellow glowing eyes.
I mean, I love I don't like his regular art's fine, but his other art, he's got the helm actually on instead of in his hand, and he looks
spoopy.
Would you mess with him? No, absolutely not. Up next, we have a Moen, Mystic Trickster, above Korlash, below Iniaz at 415. 2 in a blue for a 2/3. War 2. At the beginning of your end step, if you have the initiative, draw a card. Draw another card if you've completed a dungeon. Well, the main weakness is just that it doesn't give you the initiative. But this is a huge payoff as it transforms the initiative into not only the initiative, but the monarchy as well.
Super monarch.
Yes, it's a super monarch. You just need to complete a dungeon. This is actually a good reason to chase after making the initiative happen in your deck rather than like the other ones where it's like my power, I'm doubling toughnesses, I'm getting minimal. No, we're getting huge amounts of card advantage from having the initiative, so we're going to chase it super hard.
Yeah, I'll play the stupid torch. I'll play the 1/4 flyer.
Yeah, exactly. And like still, we're going to need tutors, and we're going to need to make sure we get this initiative going for our commander to actually do something, but it is worth it. It's going to be actually fun. We're going after the initiative. That's going to be this deck. It's going to have all those dumb 1/1 unblockable creatures because guess what? You're not taking the initiative from me. It's like, I know you're not going to make a deal with me because I'm going to draw cards, but I'm going to take it from you by force.
Absolutely. Great art. Great fun potential. She's a descendant of Baal. Joe literally just alluded to her. She's happy-go-lucky mage, so there's not a ton there. I'm sure she was around when things were happening.
She's also sisters with Abdul.
Yep, and sisters with Zerevec.
They were just friends growing up. They didn't know because they were raised by two different people. They didn't know that they were siblings. They just became friends.
Feels like Urza's bloodline thing.
Is it?
It just feels similar.
It could be.
Or they all just end up coming together anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. They're all part god-ish, right?
Kinda. Durnan of the Yawning Portal. He's at 403, above Strefan and below Chatterfang. 3 green, 3/3. When he attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may exile a creature from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may cast it, but it has Undaunted, so it costs 1 less to cast for each opponent, which is probably 3. You got to be sneaking Durnan through, but this is a strong ability.
It definitely is a strong ability. I mean, you're going to make all your creatures that you get off of him cost 3 less. The trouble is, he's obviously not very good at attacking.
It's a 3/3.
It's going to die in combat very easily, so we got to sneak him through. We got to pump his power. We got to do stuff to actually make this card, a threat and not just a 3/3 that's not going to be doing very much.
Maybe you want a blue background so that you get access to all the giant blue creatures and you can sneak them through?
Maybe. Yeah, you might just be right about that. It's tough. I really don't know what you're supposed to do specifically, but I think it's an attempt for fun.
Fun AF.
We want to flip huge creatures that are going to cost 3 less off the top of our library and just keep casting them. We got to make sure our commander lives. It's going to be a struggle, but it's going to be fun.
Certain creatures weren't meant to cost 3 less.
He's a burly, gruff man. Like, he's just very much like, I imagine as kind of a tough guy.
He's a boomer, right?
He's a man's man, right? Like,
he doesn't like hobgoblins.
He doesn't like.
Sounds very boomery to me.
He doesn't like hobgoblins because they might have killed his family. Ends up leading a group of vigilantes known as the Red Sashes.
Yes, I think he runs an inn/bar.
Yeah, the Yawning Portal is an inn. It doesn't sound like it. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's like if portals exist in the universe, it's like a clever nickname. It's like, you go sleep at the inn. Go to the Yawning Portal.
Good job, Durnan.
Up next is Abdul Arian, Gorion's ward, above Muzio and below Teferi at 393. 4 and a white for a 4/4. Whenever he enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until he leaves the battlefield. Create a 1/1 white creature soldier token for each permanent exiled this way. Very innocent on paper, but very much not innocent once you actually start playing it. For starters, you just exile everything you're going to play, then flicker him, and just get everything back with ETBs. You're untapping mana rocks.
You get that many 1/1s.
You get that many 1/1s, and you're going to get anything after you flicker him. You're going to get your planeswalkers back with all the loyalty refilled. He's very powerful just in that sense alone, where you're playing fair and you're flickering him. You're getting your stuff back, getting a bunch of 1/1s. That's the fair side. You flip it, and he also is infinite combo with things like, what is it called?
You just need 2 Fiend Hunter effects, right? He's going to exile 1. The other one's going to, so he's going to enter, and then you're going to exile a Fiend Hunter, right? And then you're going to play a Fiend Hunter. let's just say whatever the other one is, and then flicker him. Like he's going to go under the Fiend Hunter, right? Then
it's a triple Oblivion Ring loop.
Yeah, because then the other Fiend Hunter comes back, and oh wait, now he's over here, so you exile the Fiend Hunter. Then he comes back, and you exile. It's just triple Oblivion Ring. They all exile each other forever, and you go infinite on every other effect that's ETB that you get because he gives you a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be infinite mana.
Also infinite 1/1s.
Yeah, but you don't. But even easier than that, you just need to animate that. I mean, animate that, and this just like World Gorger Dragon. This is infinite. If you have any mana rock, it's infinite mana. Any mana rock that's interested in tap, that is. You have infinite mana. You have infinite of any ETB.
Infinite 1/1s.
You have infinite 1/1. So it's
and
just.
You can obviously play black with this. Just put a black background. You can play Animate Dead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what's so powerful about this card is this card actually just is part of 2 card combos, but it also does a lot of strong things by itself, which is awesome.
This card is like off the chain, just secretly, publicly amazing. Super, super strong. I think it's the strongest one on here. But we'll see. But the art, medium, it gets him up here. The lore, I think he was like the main guy for this whole thing, where he's like going up against Zerevec. He's like 7 feet tall, apparently. He fought in some big battles, and I just think he feels like the Gideon of Baldur's Gate.
He looks like Gideon, though I will say he was described as having black hair, but in the art he has brown hair.
Ridiculous. Unsubscribe.
Yeah, unsubscribe.
Not from us, from D&D.
Yeah, unsubscribe from all of Wizards. Get them. Show them what's up.
We only have 6 more, so we're getting up there. We got Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy, all the way up at 317, above Thraxamundar, below Obosh. 2 and a blue for a 1/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast up to 1 target card of the other type from your graveyard. If a spell cast from your graveyard this way, it would be put into a graveyard, exiled instead. Cast an instant, go cast a sorcery. Cast a sorcery, go cast an instant. Fill your graveyard, get infinite value.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a ton of value off this card. This card actually loves cantrips. I mean, something like Consider actually just really strong in a deck like
Preordain?
Preordained, yeah. I mean, cantrip effects are going to be very strong because anything that replaces itself will immediately get you another card. So, like, if you cast your Preordain, and yeah, that card's okay, but then you get to cast an instant from your graveyard, it's going to be so much more value, and this card is just going to end up being like, kill it, or the value train just never stops. So fun because of that. It's literally, this is a value engine within itself, and you're going to get a background that gives you a second color to really go off.
Yeah, just a really sweet card all around. So Gale, as a kid, was denied this little cat pet that he wanted, so he just conjured it, some kind of winged cat.
Well,
animal.
he just wanted a regular cat.
He wanted a regular cat, so he conjured a small winged cat.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. It had a specific name, and I'm sure D&D enthusiasts know it. But it's a winged cat. So he conjured a winged cat because somebody wouldn't give him. He's a very powerful mage, and he had the tadpole eye thing. So
of course,
everyone thinking about tadpoles go in your eyes. Think about that for a while.
Perfect.
I love his original art, not the D&D art. He's like conjuring all this blue lightning in the background. It looks.
I don't want to mess with this,
so cool. And also, this is fairly unique. I mean, we have things that flash back, but I like that it cares about instant and sorcery.
A perfect mix.
It's like you literally want to balance. Like, I would aim to go for, if I have 25 of one, I'd go for 25 of the other. I don't know. That's obviously high numbers, but like, I'm going to try and balance them because you literally want to. Every time you cast one, you get to cast the other from your graveyard. Pretty cool.
Most Spellslinger decks, they're probably like 25 instants and like 10 sorceries, but this is like you want 20 and 20 or whatever.
I'm not kidding. Like what I said, I want all of the decent cantrips. Like, they're actually very good in this deck. Moving on, we have Lae'zel, Vakith's champion, above Viral's, below Nylea Keen-Eyed at 274. 2 and a white for a 3/3. If you would put 1 or more counters on a creature or planeswalker you control or on yourself, put that many plus 1 of each of those counters on that permanent or player instead. Okay, so whenever we're putting counters and stuff, we're putting on 1 extra. This is a hardened scales type effect. We've seen it before. Fairly powerful effect, and we're going to get to pair into a second color. I kind of like your pairing up a Master Chef. Essentially, all of our creatures are going to enter with 2 counters, and that's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's just like Peer. It works with planeswalkers. There's not a lot of this in the command zone. And it doubles your counters, so if you want to play like experience counter stuff, I guess there's a couple options for that. You could really go ham sandwich. It's a pretty cool card. There's like no lore for this character, despite them seeming important and being in the video games. She also got the classic tadpole in the eye treatment.
There was some lore, but I mean, again, it
really wasn't much.
The main issue with these characters is that we're stuck in a spot where, hey, we can look up and read about the lore, and but without reading the books, without playing the video games, I can't get all the lore. So people can tell us about the lore, and perhaps we can move them up, but. Again, we got the cliff notes to get the quick version of what we think of these characters. It's again like we're not D&D people. We're Magic the Gathering people. And
yeah, if you throw like Ganondorf on one of these, I'm just gonna be like, he's like a warlock, dude.
at least, well, see, Ganondorf is like extremely popular, and I know Lord of the Rings.
I don't know his deal.
I know
Did you
Gandalf.
say Lord of the Rings?
You said Gandalf?
Nope.
You said Gandalf.
Ganondorf.
You said Ganondorf?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you said Gandalf.
I did not.
Okay, whatever. Lord of the Rings, you remember Gandalf and Ganondorf, they fought,
Gandalf is fighting Link quite often.
yes.
They can never get along.
They really do not get along.
How about we move on?
Yeah, we really should. This is a very unique card. Again, in the command zone, we've got like Vorinclex,
Pier,
this,
something like that.
maybe something else, but I don't think much more.
Now we got Jaheira, Friend of the Forest, at 255, above Hitotsugu, Devouring Chaos, and below Grist, the Hunger Tide. 2 and a green, 2/3. Tokens you control have tap, add, green. All tokens, treasure tokens now tap for a green, bear tokens now tap for a green, sapling tokens now tap for a green. This card is really powerful.
Food tokens now tap for a green. Yeah, it is a very powerful card. It just turns all of your tokens into mana dorks. This can just kind of pop off, right? Like,
It's just like better than Cryptolith right in a token deck.
yeah, exactly. It's going to be really, really strong, and it's in your command zone, so you're just going to kind of go off with it and do a lot of strong things. It's very, this is a lot of mana. You're going to produce a lot of mana, which is going to make you make more tokens, which is going to make you make more mana, and then you're just going to pay it off with, well, a ham sandwich.
That's where you get Secure the Waste for 100. You're going to see that with this commander.
Yeah, exactly. It basically gives all your spells Convoke, right? Essentially.
Pretty much.
So it's going to be extremely fun. You're going to pop off. You're going to make so much mana, so many tokens, and just go absolutely off the chain, as BZ says.
Yes, so Jaheira, usually the D&D storyline doesn't bleed into the real world, but Jaheira is married to Khalid,
The
famous
rapper.
pop singer.
Yeah, Khalid.
Yes, it takes form of forest animals if she wants to, but here's the sad news that we didn't even know about until today. She was kidnapped by John Arenicus, who killed Khalid.
Killed Khalid. Yeah, John Arenicus, who is a fictional character, captured and killed real-life pop star Khalid.
I was still alive, so I don't know how any of that happened.
It is spelled exactly like Khalid. Is Khalid named after this character?
I would have to assume it's just a regular human name.
Khalid? Is
Yeah,
it?
I think it is.
I've never heard the name Khalid.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe it is. Is Khalid a normal human name? Let us know in the comments below. We need to know before we look like idiots, which is already happening as we speak. This card is fairly unique because
Nothing does this at all? I don't think there's a single card that does this.
No, yeah, nothing does this specifically, but it is just a tokens commander. We have so many tokens.
Got quite a few.
Like 100. Up next, we have Karalach, Fury of Avernus, above Kesket, and below Titania at 246. 4 and a red for a 5/4. Whenever you attack, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap all attacking creatures. They gain first strike until end of turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Excuse me, what was that? This would just be a good Magic card without being a legend, without being a background. This is just a very, very strong card. What is going on? All your attackers on the first combat get first strike, and this is a trigger on the attack, meaning it's before blockers, before damage. Wow.
It doesn't have to attack. It works right away no matter what every time.
Yes, I absolutely love this card. It's going to be super fun. You're going to be getting in for tons and tons of combat damage over and over and over again every single other turn, right? This is just like you literally play her, and then you just get 2 combat phases. That's all. That's all you had to do.
And you get first strike.
This card is so strong. It's so fun. I love her art. It looks so good.
She'll mess you up.
She is. I would not mess with her. She is
the champion of Zerial, you might say.
She is the champion of Zerial. She doesn't mince words. She defends her friends, and she's like, hey, I will defend my friends with words or this big hammer thing I have.
Yes, and she's not going to mince said words. And she had some sort of maybe conscience crisis where she didn't want to work for Zerial anymore. So she fled, and she actually got bored of the ship. But you know what kind of ship it was? It was the Nautilus ship that puts tadpoles in your irises of your eyes.
It's so weird. It must be a major plot point that everyone ends up on the ship.
But I couldn't find it. I kept looking for it.
The tadpole ship?
You'd think it would be called the tadpole incident or something, but I couldn't see it.
It's the Nautilus ship.
I looked. I didn't see it.
You couldn't find it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Baldur's Gate. It's tough to find all the lore for Baldur's Gate. It's so hard.
And it's not all on the internet.
Yeah, this is Extra Combat Commander, which is fairly unique, but that's all the uniqueness you really get out of it because it's just a 5/4 creature after that.
It's hyper strong. All right, Ellen Harbreeze, Busybody, but no one expected her to be this high, at 240 above Thrasios, below Orvar. 3 and a white for a 2/4. Tap. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom in a random order. If you make a non-zero amount of tokens, tap, draw a card. If you make more than one, it's better than draw a card.
Yeah, exactly. I let you pick from the top cards. This is interesting. It lets you draw a card. Good card advantage. It's just going to sit there. Again, a card I just don't see anyone killing, right? It's like, how often am I going to kill this card? Not often. It's going to die to board wipes. But I'm not going to target this card out. There's just too many other real big threats on the battlefield.
Seems rock solid.
It does, exactly. Good card advantage, just a 5 for power. This card is super fun. I think you're not going to run out of cards, so you get to play more Magic. She's going to find token makers to draw more cards, to find token makers to draw more cards. It's going to just loop into itself, right? I love the altar where she's just got the muffins. And she
just play the muffins.
She's described as a plump baker, and she's a notorious gossip. The biggest gossip in the whole entire town.
How many times has Ellen Harbreeze spilled the beads on what's going on for a campaign? I would imagine quite often.
All the time.
Every time.
That's what I imagine. I imagine this, Ellen Harbreeze is the character that, you go to and, hey, I want to buy some muffins.
Have you heard about this missing person? Oh, of course I have.
Have you heard about important plot information?
Yes, I certainly have. I think I want to put this with a blue background and then play Freed from the Real. So, make 3 tokens and then just, tap, pay blue, anticipate.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair.
There's only one left. You might know who it is. Joe?
It's Volo, and he's a scholar. He's back in his college days, Volo. Niv Mizzet Reborn is right below him, and right above him is Tameshi at 105.
It's pretty good.
2 and a blue for a 2/3. When Volo enters the battlefield, create Volo's Journal, a legendary colorless artifact token with hexproof. And whenever you cast a creature spell, note one of its creature types that hasn't been noted for this artifact. 2 tap, draw a card for each creature type noted for target permanent you control named Volo's Journal. All right, so this card is undoubtedly slow. You really have to get it going. You have to play Volo. You have to cast creatures, and then you have to put mana into him afterward. But once you get going and rolling, he's a huge card advantage engine. Though I will say, this is one that gets punished for dying very hard. I'm definitely targeting it. I'm definitely killing it. I'm definitely keeping it off the battlefield. And then he'll come back, and he'll have stuff noted, but he's still got to untap in order to use his ability.
Yeah, he's rock solid if you can keep him around. I think this deck probably just wants to play Ornithopter and Memnite and all those dummies that just cost no mana, because they're going to replace themselves as soon as Volo activates. So it's right before you do that, if he's out and you untapped with him, start playing little dummies.
Yeah, and that's completely fair. I think it's a fairly strong card, but also it does lack a little bit in how slow it is. Extremely fun, just like the other Volo.
This is not offensive. It's just maximum, you just get to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Play the game.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, the other Volo, you're just going to build a deck that's got tons of creature types. You're going to you literally want to attempt to get 10 notes on this thing, so that Volo's ability is actually ridiculous, over the top. Okay, we can never let Volo live. It has 2 tap, draw 10 cards.
Yeah, I had this in limited. It was my commander, and obviously obnoxious in that format. I was drawing 6 cards in activation.
Oh yeah, Volo's one of the best for limited for sure. Volos are really good. He's taking notes. I love it.
But he's in the hand of a giant.
Yeah, I love how excited he is. I love that he just wants to study monsters. Obviously that's what he's doing. He's obviously out there studying monsters.
He's got this. He writes the manual on this stuff, but he only offers half right advice. He doesn't know everything. He's just kind of cocky, confidently wrong half the time.
But he does study. He is. I do He's obviously he's the guide to monsters, but obviously he's giving you half wrong advice.
Yeah.
I really like it's funny to look at characters like this where it's obviously designed from a D&D standpoint to mislead you. It's silly, right? He's overconfident. He knows a lot, but he's overconfident in his own opinion. So when you go talk to this character, he's going to tell you something like, "Hey, chop at its ankles," but it turns out its ankles are made of steel or something.
Turns out it has no ankles.
It has no ankles. It's actually a squid eye. That's all.
You have to put tadpoles in it.
You have to put tadpoles in all the eyeballs.
Yeah, Volo, very beloved D&D character. This one, how much more unique can you get? It makes a hexproof notebook that you literally have to pull out a piece of paper and write down stuff for. You can't even mark it any other way.
I love it. I do really love this design. This is a brilliant card, and it's not too strong. I love when cards are designed really well and everything comes together to make a card really interesting without having the card to be broken or powerful. That's a good design.
How you get that's how you get up to the top hundreds, because if you're too powerful to the point where you're not fun to play against, you can't break through.
You lose a lot of points.
You got to get mid power or even mid to high power, and then super fun where it's everyone allows you to play the game and you allow them to play the game.
Yes, and this is doing something that like one other card is doing, and the only other card that's doing something like this is the other Volo.
Right, exactly.
It's like literally the only other card doing it. But again, we're ranking every single commander, and we've done it in the past. Why don't you go check out, what was the last set, BZ?
The last set was, of course, New Capenna.
So why don't you go check out all of our rankings for all of the new Capenna commanders. This was a long video, and guess what? Tomorrow, you're going to be able to see all of the
Non-choose a background.
which there's even more of. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.